All right, guys. So, as you guys know, that today's topic is about fixed mindset versus growth mindset. And in fact, this topic came about, actually originated from the last conversation that we had. And today's conversation is more about how do we cultivate growth mindset. अब हमें ये तो पता चल गया that growth mindset is the future. If we do not work on ourselves, then we lag behind. But how do we cultivate this? And in fact, if I were to give you a little bit of context, the topic or the idea of growth mindset got popularized by Dr. Carol Dweck, who did an extensive research on this topic at Stanford University. And if I were to explain in like very, very simple terms, fixed mindset is that we truly believe in our like inherent, innate skills, talent, values, and we try to stick to them in order to appear good or in order to look good and be in control all the time because we know that we are already good at it. Okay? And it certainly has its own advantages. I'm just admitting, okay, one person has joined. Okay. So yeah, so fixed mindset definitely has its own advantages. For example, if I am a manager who is naturally very good with crisis management, I would be able to, diffuse any crisis. But on the flip side, many of us are in fact guilty of saying things like, hey, I'm very bad at math, so don't ask me about numbers, or I get super nervous or super jittery when a manager asks me something about data or numbers, or something like, I'm not a very good public speaker. So, moderating a discussion like this is a big challenge for me. So these are some of the examples of fixed mindset. So similarly, there is growth mindset where people believe that, through practice, perseverance, and, repetition, they can acquire new skills. And having said that, uh, it doesn't mean that everybody with, growth mindset can reach to the same level of expertise. But it certainly means that everybody can be better or they can improve themselves on any skills, even if you're not born with those skills, right? So my first question to you would be a little personal. Maybe you would take maybe 1 or 2 minutes to think through it. When do you, like individually, when do you find yourself in growth mindset, and what kind of and when do you find yourself in fixed mindset? ऐसे कौन से instances हैं, examples हैं when you thought that, yeah, this is my fixed mindset, or these are the things where I am really comfortable, these are the things I can have probably growth mindset, and what kind of feelings do they invoke in you? How do you feel when you are leveraging fixed mindset and when you are leveraging growth mindset? So maybe take a couple of minutes to think about it and then answer. And in the meantime, Saurabh, I can see that you have just joined. Hi. I would just tell you a little bit about this space. This is Glass Half Full, and we are a community of business psychologists, HR professionals, and executive coaches. We get together every Saturday and we discuss on a topic, and it's like a free-flowing conversation. There is no like panel expert or anything like that. So feel free to share your ideas or.
Yeah, thank you, thank you to give me a little initiative, like introductions. Yeah, first time actually I joined this meeting, and I would like to be get the new learn things from you, and hopefully will help you me to be to improve my cultivating things.
Thank you, and I hope you take away valuable lessons from this conversation.
Yeah, thank you.
So can I start about growth mindset and my thoughts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. So when we talk about growth mindset, it's a very it's a very buzzing term. So when I look at the terminology growth mindset, as far as my change, that is one parameter. Second parameter is that are you willing to explore? When I say explore, as in okay, if you want to achieve something, so are you if something is not working out, you are figuring out things. If this is not working, okay, let's try this. So are you a person who is kind of more on the exploration thing. Okay, let me explore. Third aspect I feel is, which is very important, is like, are you open to learn? Are you a person who is always, or I would say constantly, on this learning mode? Are you willing to learn from your juniors, from your seniors? So I feel that if these three things, one is accepting change, willing to change, willing to learn, and willing to explore. If as an individual you tick on these three boxes, then I think you are on the right track as far as the growth mindset is concerned.
Hmm, hmm. Right, right. But there are definitely advantages of being in a fixed mindset as well. So, and in fact, Carol Dweck has said that no, it's not a dichotomy that you are either a fixed mindset or you are a growth mindset. Usually, we are on a spectrum. So maybe we are 60% growth mindset, maybe we are 40% fixed mindset. So when do you feel most comfortable, during fixed mindset or growth mindset? Anybody?
I think
I mean,
I
in
have.
my case, it's very. I mean, sorry to continue. In my case, it's very hard. Okay, so I think this.
No. Go on, go on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, complete your point, Chaitanya. Yes.
No. So okay. So in my case, I think it's very hard to decipher that. Whether it's a fixed mindset. I would say in certain cases it's a growth mindset. In certain cases it's a fixed mindset. So as Gurleen, you gave an example of maths. So if someone asks me a maths problem and it's something related to numbers, I just say, "Bhaiya, maaf kar do. I'm not the right person." Maths, when it comes to maths or anything related to let's say numbers, I just say कि अब मेरे से ना हो पाएगा. And when it comes to like certain other things, I would say no, it's not a big thing. Or if someone says, okay, or you want to argue with someone, or you want to take ahead someone, you want to get under the skin of someone. I said, no, this is something who I am not. So that is, in certain cases it's a fixed mindset. But yes, when it comes to improving things like personally, professionally, it could be there could be many examples. So yeah, so then that in that case it's a growth mindset. Yeah, Sorali, over to you.
Thank you so much. I think that when I'm sure of things where, let's say, if there's a problem to which I know the solution, that is where my fixed mindset comes into the picture. Like, we are certain of things, right? But when we are a bit uncertain, or we are on the path of, like Chaitanya said, exploration, I think that is when the growth mindset comes into the picture, because we don't know certain things yet, we are trying to ready to try putting our feet into the water. And it's like one more thing that came to my mind on the same lines is it possible that people who are high on openness to experience have growth mindset?
Definitely, there is a strong correlation between openness on the Big Five scale and
Right.
growth mindset.
That's amazing. So I think like when you asked this question, it was like a really good trip to my career lane, and it was like really nice. So I think that when I look back, I think I have been of the growth mindset forever. So yeah, so right from choosing to study psychology, when people used to say arts mein kya hai and it won't give you money, like true that it doesn't give me money, but that smile, Goodlin, I know. So but still I was willing to explore, I was willing to learn, I was willing to test the waters, I was willing to play with the sharks. That was a bit too daring, I guess. But so yeah, my growth mindset, so if you ask me where I have used my growth mindset, I would say in my education and career.
Okay, interesting. So whenever you guys are using growth mindset, what kind of feelings does it evoke? Because growth mindset, I know, I'll give you a context or an example. For instance, you are learning a new skill which you are not comfortable with. For instance, you are learning math, for instance, okay, and you know that okay, you suck at math. So when you're learning it, what kind of feelings do you feel? What kind of feelings does it invoke in you when you are in a uncomfortable territory? How do you feel?
Does it invoke thrill by any
I
chance?
think Rupam has unmuted himself. Maybe we can give him a chance. Yes, Rupam.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Thank you. So, talking about growth mindset and fixed mindset, I would like to share one instance of my life where I recently operated out of growth mindset. So, we couple of friends sit together, and my all my friends discuss something about cryptocurrency. I was completely not aware of what this thing is. I thought that this is not my thing. I should not get into it. So until I got into it, I was operating out of fixed mindset that this is not my thing. Once I got to learn about it, once I took interest in it and I learned about it, then I realized that, oh, this was so simple. So then I got a sense of satisfaction. Then I thought that I should learn more on stocks also. I should go ahead of it. I should learn more on investing. So this is what I got when I operated out of growth mindset.
Interesting. So when you initially started learning about cryptocurrency, and when you were going through, say, articles, or you were checking out documentaries or films, were
Yes.
there any instances, were there any point where you felt uncomfortable or frustrated that, oh, why am I not able to understand this? Why is it so difficult? Did you go through those kind of emotions?
Yes,
And if
ma'am,
anybody
definitely.
else went through those kind of emotions, learning something
Yes, definitely. There are many hurdles when we learn new things. We get many hurdles, but eventually that increased my interest.
new?
I went deep into it. I really understood how cryptocurrency works, and that also motivates me now to study. I'm currently I've pursued bought a book on investing, so
Hmm.
I will be reading that as well. So that was all started by a couple of friends discussing cryptocurrency. So
Hmm.
that was the starting point, and now I'm actually getting interested in investment.
Hmm. Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. Anybody else? Yeah. Yeah. Yes, Chaitanya.
Yeah. So one more example, Gurleen. So last year when I was doing an internship with a startup, so as part of one of our tasks was to make a video, on, so that video was more on the, employer branding thing about the product and the organization. So when it comes to videos, I'm very bad at it because, making videos, you need to have that, charm. And personally, I don't have that very much photogenic face. So sitting in front of the camera, making a video is like 9 times out of 10, I would hesitate. But then what I did was, it was a task which I had to complete. So I made 2 3 videos. So every time I used to, take a phone, shoot myself, I used to mess up things. And so I used to feel, yeah, mere se na ho paega. I mean, this is something this is not my cup of tea. But then I made 2 3 videos. Things were okay. Then I attended a workshop by, someone had organized a workshop on, how to face camera. And then I made 2 more videos, and there was a certain improvement. So in first instance, if 9 times out of 10 I would hesitate to make a video where, like, I'm sitting in front of the camera. So when I attended the workshop, I would say now six times out of 10 I would hesitate to, make a video. So
Hmm.
that hesitation level has slightly gone down, if not
Hmm.
totally.
Wonderful example, because this is what I wanted to lead this conversation to this point only, because when you're learning something new, it is really frustrating in the initial few stages. And only when you start practicing, only when you repeatedly do the same thing, then only you become comfortable with it, right? And in fact, Carol Dweck, in her book Mindset, which is like, I think the most famous one in terms of growth mindset, and she has specifically mentioned that human brain is neuroplastic. It's like plastic. It's expandable. All of these neurons that we have in our minds, abhi to ye, they fire together because we are habitual of acting in certain ways. But whenever we are doing something new, then these neurons are actually changing paths. They are meeting with each other. So एक बारी करके कुछ फायदा नहीं होगा. So repeatedly, if you do those pairings, it will become more permanent. So that is how you learn a new skill. Any other instance, and then we will go to the next question. You Saurabh, you wanted to share something? Yes.
Yeah, ma'am. Actually, thank you to be given me a chance. Like it was the incident in 2015. Where, like I was working in a company. There, like my colleagues getting the like very instantly like getting the growth, and like I was little frustrated, and I feel like I should also go for the promotions, but unfortunately I didn't get any like hike in the in the like salary as well as the promotions. So that time, like I feel little bit frustrated, and I was searching to be a new job. But one of my mentors suggesting me to be start to study the understanding the mind logic books like that, and like to have to be watch the videos related to the how our mind work, and how we have to be control the things, and how we should go for the professionalism, how should we go for the short term goals and the long term goals also. So
Hmm.
these kind the situation occur in my life, and I started to be study books, and watching the videos, and starting to be my mind has finalized like I should have to be go ahead, and that is why I started all these things. And like after some time, so like after 1 month or 45 days, I feel like interesting the things in studying the book and watching the videos. And I
Hmm.
like that time I was feeling like my mind is uh, continuously pushing to me to be growth in their professional life. And like
Hmm. Hmm.
after one and a half year, it is almost 1.5 year, I switched the company and get the uh, promotion as well. And now my all the old colleagues like now they are getting less salary as compared to me. So
Hmm.
like after some time also, like the fixed mindset what we are talking right now. So after 1.5 year to be continue working and getting the growths, like I feel like I satisfy, I feel some some circumstances like feeling to be comfortable job John. So now like after 6 months I again feel to be like started the same as the like earlier one. So
Hmm.
again
Hmm.
I have some my neurons are energizing me, and I'm again on the same track to be growing myself. And that is why I'm searching some mentor to be like guide me to be in the contact regularly, so that I should be regularly to be growing the things.
Absolutely. And I think you have shared a really good action point here, mentoring. If you
Yeah.
seek a good mentor, that person can really help you leverage your other skills which you probably are not born with, but they can help you learn new skills.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
ma'am, actually. Thank you.
Yeah.
And that is the thing, if we have some mentor in our life, so we will be like continuing the touch. If we don't have the mentor, like we are studying itself, and we are trying to be get like growth in our life. So after sometimes like we will feel some what we can say the some laziness in the some laziness, and we can say we like the comfortable zone. And that
Yeah.
is very difficult time, like how we have to be break this zone, so we don't have any guidance. So that time the very important role, the mentor have the very important role in our life.
Right. Right.
I think Saurabh has raised a very interesting point, Gurleen. So I would just say one word for this. That's called faith. And when any individual, shows a lot of faith in you, then I think you can do wonders. So just to share one instance, so last year I have been connected with this person, Mr. Vivekanand. So I am one of his trainees in relation to strategic HRN. So he's been such a great guide. So a person, so for me, like writing was never my strength. And whatever I used to write, it was I always my focus was majorly on cricket. And I'm sure you must have seen what I have written on LinkedIn. So he motivated me that okay, just start writing on LinkedIn. And I was like, sir, it's no point just writing things for the heck of it. And then I just got that confidence. Okay, if cricket is my strength, let me try to relate it to my domain. And then gradually thoughts came in, and that's how a flow came in. I start posting, and then I feel writing has now become one of my strengths. So yeah, I completely agree with what Saurabh has said, that a mentor, and I would say if someone has faith on you, I think it can take you to wonders.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And this faith, I think this reminds me of belief system. In fact, many researchers claim that simply changing one's belief about yourself and your ability to learn can have an impact on all areas of life, both academic and personal. So, do you guys agree or disagree that your beliefs hold such a power for change? And if yes, why? Why is belief so important?
Yeah, agree, ma'am, actually. if we have beliefs to do anything in our life, so we have some vision actually. So in that vision we will like work on the like to do list basis. So we will make some plans, we will do on that. We will have some interesting also on that point we have to be completed. And that time like with the confidence level was very high, will be very high actually. So yeah, in my point of view, we believe actually.
Okay, belief is, yeah, necessary. Swarali, you wanted to say
Yes, I agree with Saurabh, but I also have to add that I think our beliefs guide us to an extent. Like, obviously, it's the emotions which guide us as like basic motivators, but but we reason them with beliefs. So if your reason behind something is wrong, or if an emotion guides you but your reason is wrong, then probably you're going to end up making the wrong move, or not being successful in that particular thing, because your reason after all is what your cognitive ability to rationalize. So you know that once if you change one simple thing, it is going to have huge consequences, and that is what we work on in therapies, right? So of course, like, changing your core beliefs is what
something.
is is that something which guides the growth mindset as well.
Changing one's
Uh,
beliefs. Yeah.
Gurleen, just a different school of thought. See, when we talk about belief system, we need to understand how we, you know, believe in something. Is it because of the environment? I think environment plays a very important factor, because if you've been born and brought up in a specific environment, you actually pick up things from there and what you have seen around. So that actually builds up your belief system. What you have seen, what you have been taught at home, and how wider exposure you've had, whether in your professional career or academics or life in general. So I think these things actually build up your belief system. And also I would like to bring in about here about this concept called law of attraction, that where it says that if you really believe in something, या as जैसे किसी चीज को शिद्दत से चाहते हो, and तो पूरी कायनात उसे तुमसे मिलाने की साजिश में जुट जाती है. But at the same time, what I think what hampers our belief is reality. Because we they, what happens is, like, okay, we know that, okay, I want to do this, okay, I want to be a part of something, but then you see the scenario around you, then obviously you have questions. Because believing in something is good, but at the same time, one has to be rational, one has to be practical. So I think that is what is. So as I mentioned, environment, reality, the exposure, these actually things contribute, or I would say build your belief system. And the results, when you see the results coming, then you can see. For example, let's say if someone like told me that, okay, write your manifestations, and I started writing it. And then in hindsight, I used to think, यार क्या है, तो बस कहने की बातें हैं. अब कहीं कल को मैं चाहूँ कि ये हो जाए, वो हो जाए. So I was like, ठीक है, okay. So just to give my example, so from a very long point of time, I was like, okay, I wanted to be with Deloitte for some point of time. Just giving you an example. So I was trying since after I passed out in 2019. And then I was, when I was for nothing was working, मैंने कहा छोड़ो यार, ये ख्याली पुलाव मत पकाओ. This is like, okay, so oh, it's not going to happen. But then I'm now today I'm an intern with the same firm. So unless you start seeing the results, then only. So now I can say yes. Now I can vouch for this, that okay, my belief system has changed. That if you believe in something truly and if you work towards this, you will get it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
how I
Key
wanted to
being,
put it.
and the key being work towards that, because writing it down, writing a manifestation is not going to help out unless you act on it. So acting is equally, if not more important than just writing it down on a piece of paper.
Yes, ma'am. To add on to what Chaitanya sir and Swarali ma'am has said, we are talking about the belief system, which is a amalgamation of our continuous life process throughout our life. So at times in order to operate out of growth mindset, I believe we need to revisit our belief system time to time. We need to do a continuous introspection. Uh, there might be instances when we might be operating out of our primitive belief system, right? Some belief system that we have formed at the age of say 10, 15 years, and we might be still operating out of that particular belief system. So when we grow in age, when we grow in maturity, we need to revisit our thoughts, we need to revisit our belief system, and we need to update according to the environment we are currently residing. So this will help us in building good relationship with people also. This will help us in all aspects, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is the learning mindset, or also known as scout mindset. So scout mindset is something when you want to learn about something, even if it questions your own belief system, even if it
Yes,
questions
yes, ma'am.
how you have been read. So, so really, actually looking for truth, looking for some more evidence, looking for more information to really understand that concept instead of validating your own biases, validating your own, thought processes.
But again, there is one disadvantage. But if we, dig much into a belief system, it sometimes leads into uh, low self-belief, low self-esteem also.
Self-esteem, I don't know, maybe slightly different, but I know a lot of people who are like really confident in themselves, but also very humble at the same time, and they don't mind being wrong. So maybe if you read more about Dunning-Kruger effect, you will understand that people who are like really good at something, they don't mind being questioned, or they don't mind being wrong, and they don't take it from a point of view that it hampers their self-esteem, because उनके लिए फर्क नहीं पड़ता. Their sense of self-worth is not tied to whether that belief is right or wrong, or whether they have been proven wrong by somebody.
Understood. Thank you.
So maybe. So interesting points. In fact, coming to think of it, like you talked about environment, like all of us talked about environment. If we zoom out a little bit, let's take organizations for instance. So in organizations, what do you see generally? How do they define success? Do they define success in terms of effort or ability? So, for instance, maybe a lot of times organizations just focus on outcomes, results. Is that what matters, right? And there are other organizations that focus on growth mindset, maybe like getting better. So my question to you is, whenever you are training, learning, or competing with others, do you focus more on outcomes, or do you focus on getting better? What is more important to you, learning something new or getting things right?
Well, I think that it's a very interesting question, Gurleen, that you have asked. So there's a famous saying in the field of sports: "Winner takes it all," and nobody remembers the while we have our former captain Mahendra Singh Dhoni who says process is more important. Now I feel both the things go hand in hand. While the outcome is important, your goal is critical. That okay, you want to achieve certain results, but I think process is as much as much important as the goal. Because see, even if you don't achieve the desired goal, but if you are if you have been through the process in turn will teach you a lot of things. So for example, let's say I'll give you my own example. I graduated in 2019. Okay, and since then I'm looking for a break in human resources, as a full-time job. But things have not worked in my favor. Now, even though my end goal is to get a job in HR, but the journey, the process, till date has been so much. It's been a learning process. Like throughout this journey from 2019 to 2020, I mean, I have learned so much. So I have met people. Glass half full is now a very important part of my life. I have learned so much. So that all I'm trying to say here is that okay, the end goal is important, but process actually teaches you a lot, because even if you don't win, as they say in Hindi, kuch nahi hoga to tajurba hoga. So that tajurba which you have gained throughout the process, that will be useful, uh, in your next venture or your next task, whatever you want to do. So that's how I like to put it. While both are important, but I would give more weightage to the process.
Absolutely. So learning from mistakes. But what about organizations? In the yearly appraisals, would they be okay with saying, although you did not meet your KRAs, but you learned a lot, here is an appraisal? Do you think that is a reality? Or do you think there are organizations who would appraise you even if you have not delivered results, but you have shown tremendous progress? Are there organizations like that? Anybody? And if organizations nowadays, being an organization psychologist, I see that organizations talk about learning agility, growth mindset, that people, and especially they talk about innovation, creativity, and because that is the future. So unless people don't make mistakes, how are they going to learn? How are they going to experiment if the organization is not comfortable with people making mistakes? So how do we fix that problem?
I think Gurleen, again, I would just say it all starts with the leadership. It all starts with the top, because I still feel that people say something, but in reality the things are different. I mean, as you mentioned, that you have also worked for a lot of organizations, EY, Oppo. I mean, you must have seen people or leaders talk something, but at the end of the day, it's all driven around the numbers game. KRA kitna hai? KRA achieve kara ki nahi? So potential appraisal kya hai? It's just something. It's a different ball game altogether. But I think it's we are in the process of thinking beyond KRAs and KPIs and numbers. But I think it's a far-fetched reality where the managers or the leadership will talk about, okay, where they see your intent, whether you had the intent to perform, whether you had the intent to work. Okay, you might not have achieved the numbers or your targets, but going into that root cause analysis is something I don't see happening in the near future. Okay, people still talk about it, and as they say, people talk about many things, but in reality, we also know that the inside story is different.
Any startups? Because I see a lot of startups being okay with people making mistakes, and they're promoting it also, in fact, and using it as a marketing tool. Do you think there is a difference between how big firms operate and how probably startups operate? Do you think startups are more okay with risk taking than big established firms? Swarali, I think she has unmuted herself.
Yeah, Swarali wanted to say something.
Yeah, that was the thing that I was going to come to, that the way big organizations work or function is different than the self-employed or the startups. Reason being, the startups do not have any other option than trial and error.
Yeah.
Unless they have a coach or a mentor or a guardian angel above them. But like if the big companies, like the already established ones, were supposed to do the trial and error thinking, it could actually directly affect their reputation. Like one wrong step and you could be like done forever. So that could be one of the many reasons why they have that fixed path which they follow. No, that they have status quos, like like leaders are supposed to be like this, managers are supposed to do this, everyone has a defined role. Whereas I don't think that we see such similar culture in startups, because there everyone does everything. And I think this is probably the reason why it's said that anyone gets more experience in a startup than in an established organization. So I think when it comes to mindset, can we say that I don't know intentionally or not, but there's definitely more growth mindset seen in the startups than in the companies. Because like referring to Chaitanya's point of leaders, the failure thing, that they say that they're okay with failures, but when they do not see the outcomes, why is it that they're not okay with it? So I think there are a lot of points that we could join here, but again, time constraints, I understand. So I think this conversation has brought into light a lot of things which we could actually ponder upon.
Yeah. And I think the final question I want to ask is, why do some people succeed while others do not?
Interesting question. I think if I would like to answer it in a way that success is a very relative term. Success for Gurleen Barua will be different for success for Chaitanya Sahu. Success for Swarali Sonar is different for success for Saurabh and Rupam. So we as individuals need to define what is success for us. So Gurleen, just to give your example, you have worked for EY, you have worked for Oppo, and now you are an entrepreneur. You have started your organization, that culture thing. So now you have to see what makes you more successful, what gives you more satisfaction. Gurleen Barua, a former employee of EY, former employee of Oppo, or Gurleen Barua, an entrepreneur, a lady who has started an organization called That Culture Thing. So that is something that you have to define for yourself, because see, for others it's very easy to judge what is success. So for example, if someone says, okay, that I am working for some organization, or I am at a good post, I'm earning like maybe a six figure salary, but to the outside world it might appear that okay, I'm successful, but I have to see what appears success to me. So the point I'm trying to emphasize here is that you have to define success for yourself, because success is a very relative term.
Yeah. So considering, let's assume that everybody knows, okay, this is how I look at my success, and these are the metrics that, okay, if I meet this is how I'm successful. But still, what is the reason why these people succeed? So even if I have a certain metric, how am I succeeding? What are the reasons why I'm succeeding?
Can I go?
Yeah, Monali, please go ahead.
Okay, so I think it's a combination of wisdom and intelligence. Like, this is an entirely different take. So wisdom and intelligence, like certain things like qualities like being flexible, being adaptable, being resilient, being able to think divergently at times, being able to shift between fixed and growth mindset at times, and the wisdom of knowing when to do what of these will decide the success of the person. There are a lot of things which are like in your control which you do, and there are a lot of things which are not in your control which you can't do anything about. So the wisdom to understand the difference between which is which, and then acting according to the situation using the intelligence. I think this might play a huge role in someone being successful or not.
I think you have summarized it perfectly. So being okay with failure, making mistakes, and knowing, really using good judgment, perseverance, falling, getting up again, and just hustling, really. Yeah. And Saurabh, and before I close, last question. Any particular action step that you are going to take individually to cultivate growth mindset in your life? What is it that you're gonna do? Yes, Saurabh.
Yeah,
While people think about it, Saurabh can, yeah. Yes, Saurabh, go for it.
I would like to say my views on the last question. So can I go?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, in my view, like the success is because. Hello, am I audible now?
You are, but the volume is a little too low. Can you increase the volume, maybe?
Hello, is it okay now?
Yeah, slightly better. Yes.
Okay, just a minute.
Or you can type also. You can type in the chat window as well. If connection is the problem. In the meanwhile, maybe Chaitanya or Swarali or Google can share.
I have an idea. Like when I was in my post graduation, I learned about I learned about the importance of storytelling and the narrative method. Like it is more capable of forming personal connections. So I think the more you talk to people and know their stories and learn, if you're able to learn from their failures, their mistakes, then it would help you better sooner, and you'd be more efficient. And I think that talking to people one on one is the best thing that could ever happen to anyone. So being open to networking, holding good conversations, asking good questions. Like asking good questions are going to give you good answers. The quality of the reaction or the answer or the response from the person in front of you completely depends on what kind of questions you ask. So I think that being open-minded and being like, you should be ready to have a different perspective. Like again, to cultivate growth mindset, you should have growth mindset. I know it's a loop, but you know what I mean? Like there has to be that seed in you, which will then grow into a plant.
Interesting. Yeah. So yeah, networking, talking to different people, taking perspective,
Yes.
building perspectives. Absolutely. Yes. Yes, Chaitanya.
So I would like to say two things. First of all, I think it's important to understand the whys. When you are doing a particular thing, how and what is important, but at the same time, you have to focus on the whys. And why a particular thing? Okay, why we are doing this? Like for example, if I'm doing a recruitment drive every weekend, why am I doing this? What is how what is it? What it's contributing to the vision of the leadership? So or for that particular practice. So whys are important. Second thing I would say is standing up for yourself. Take a stand for yourself. So for example, in my initial days when I started my career, I used to be afraid of my seniors. I was of that view कि यार क्या कहेंगे, should I sell? So I was very afraid. But now if I feel something is not correct, or if it's not in the interest of the team, I just speak my mind, and I'm not afraid of anyone. So even if someone who's a director, I know that okay, I don't really bother about what designation I am at. But if I feel this needs to be spoken out, I just speak that without any second thoughts. And in addition to that, just be prepared for the worst. When I say be prepared for the worst, if you know that you are taking a stand for a right thing, just be prepared for the worst, because the something worse can happen. That for example, if you in an organizational setup, if you speak out something, the worst they can do is just chuck you out. They will ask you to leave. What can be worse than this? And last I would say, I would just like to एक शेर कहना चाहता हूँ for growth mindset. So there is one guy, Shakil Badayuni. He wrote a very good शेर. So the शेर is हार हो जाती है जब मान लिया जाता है, और जीत होती है जब ठान लिया जाता है. So this is in relation to growth mindset. Yeah.
Lovely, lovely. This one and also the old one, no? जो पहले बोला था, कुछ ना होगा तो तजुर्बा होगा.
हाँ, कुछ ना होगा तो तजुर्बा होगा.
हाँ, that I've heard that ghazal, that Jagjit Singh ghazal also. क्यों डरे जिंदगी में क्या होगा, कुछ ना होगा तो तजुर्बा
होगा.
Yeah. Rupam, any last points, action that you're gonna take to cultivate growth mindset?
Ma'am, the action I take to cultivate growth mindset is I attend this kind of sessions. I also believe that this is a learning. And apart from that, I am reading books. I'm reading a book now, right now, this Atomic Habit. I have started reading that book.
Oh, I love that James Clear wala, na?
Yes, ma'am.
I love
James Clear. Yeah. I recently started reading that book. And one more thing I want to point out here, that talking about success, for example, one sense, for example, one army commander has been assigned a task to ambush all kind of counterinsurgency operations. Say, for example, it is not about one Pulwama that happened. It is about 100 other Pulwama attacks that the army has stopped. So, but we cannot call Pulwama collectively a failure of army, because army has if there are 100 instances, 99 times army has saved, and one instance the army has failed. But collectively, if we look at a scenario, then there is, you can say, qualitatively you can measure the successes more than failure. And even after the Pulwama attack, army got some intel input, and they could identify the loopholes in the national security structure. So I think this is also an example of growth mindset. Now the army commanders are more wise. They know where to focus more and how to operate intelligently. So I believe failures are also give us a lot of perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. Tremendous learning in failures. You at least know that, okay, this is one way which is not going to work.
Yes, ma'am.
For the next time.
Right.
I think Einstein also said something like that. Yeah. Last comment, Surali. Last comments. Yeah.
Surali, please go ahead.
There's nothing really to say. Just thank you for this interesting session, and I think all of us have learned something different. I definitely have gotten a lot of points to ponder upon. So I'm gonna get back to you guys and keep bothering you with things like what happens if this happens, what happens if that happens. So yeah.
Great, great then. All right, it was a
I,
lovely.
I remember Arshad Mehta's dialogue in the series where he says, "What is success? Success क्या है? Failure के बाद का chapter."
क्या? I missed that
Success
one.
क्या है?
So I don't know if you've seen the Harshad Mehta scam series on Sony Live. So there is one dialogue in that series where Pratik Gandhi, who played the role of Harshad Mehta, so someone asked him that what is success. So his reply was, "Success क्या है? Success क्या है? Success है failure के बाद का chapter."
Failure का बाद का chapter. Love it.
और ये
Should
failure
love-
के बाद का chapter.
Yes, absolutely. Failure can teach you a lot of lessons and that will lead you to success. Definitely. A lot of startups, a lot of entrepreneurs have failed so many times, and a lot of authors, for instance, they have failed so many times, and they succeeded only when they repeatedly failed, and they learned that, oh, this is not going to work out. I'll try something new. And that's how you get successful. Absolutely. Okay, guys. So love this discussion, and I'll see you next Saturday and next Saturday. And have a good weekend.
You
You too. You too.
Bye.
Bye bye. Take care.
Thank you for this
Take
session.
care.
Thank you,
Oh,
everyone.
it was a wonderful session. Bye bye. Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye.